welcome to the Science Faction Podcast, where science meets fact meets fiction.
This is Science Faction for the week of November 23rd, 2025. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen Dominguez, and with me one night only, with me tonight, two individuals
3 nights.
getting ready for that special bird day.
I'm Benjamin Daniel Wallace.
Devon Kraft.
You guys excited for bird day?
I'm excited to see my mom. She's coming up, and it's gonna be great. So
Excellent.
yeah. As for like what we're eating,
Yeah.
usually I get really excited because we don't do like a traditional dinner, and Nicole's kind of got it in her head that we're going to eat a traditional dinner this time, and so I'm I'm a little less excited about it because it's traditional, you know.
You don't
but
like
I am
traditional
excited.
things. You like wacky
Yeah.
things.
I like wacky things, and give me something creative and cool. So like non-traditional, typically there was a year that I grilled a bunch of salmon,
Sure.
or we made pizzas,
Yeah.
which we're gonna be making pizzas Tuesday night
Yes.
with your family.
Yeah,
Stephen.
we're having a pizza party.
That's right. No, I'm like, it's gonna be okay.
There were-
I'm sure it'll be great to eat. How about you, Devin?
I was gonna say, Jen's sister who lives next door, her kids are gonna be with their dad for most of the week because all our kids have the week off, but unfortunately their kids are gonna be with their dad. Except for they're gonna be back on like Friday, so. Like last weekend, Jen and I were hanging out with Jen's sister and her husband talking about what we're doing for Thanksgiving. And Jen was like, "Oh, well, we're not doing a traditional Thanksgiving dinner on Thursday since, Megan's not going to have the boys." And I was like, "Oh, great. I don't like traditional, kind of like Ben. I don't like traditional Thanksgiving dinners. I mean, it's not just the food. It's just, I don't know. I don't like the whole, atmosphere of it. Like it seems like it's always more tense than it should be. Like it's not relaxing at all. So I just don't
Maybe
like
it's because you're holding a hand grenade while you walk into dinner.
Yeah. No, but so anyway, so we were hanging out
What?
with them, and Jen said that she's like, "Oh, we're not doing a traditional Thanksgiving dinner on Thursday," and I'm like, "Oh, cool. I don't really like doing that anyway." And then she's like, "So on Friday we're gonna do the traditional Thanksgiving dinner."
Oh, she pulled the rug out.
And Megan's like, "Yeah, you're making the mashed potatoes and the pie and blah blah blah." So I was like, it was just kind of one of those like putting your foot in your mouth, like, "Oh man, I'm so glad we're not doing those dumb Thanksgiving dinners." And like, well, we are. It's just not on Thursday.
All right, I want to dive back into this tension around dinner. It sounds like perhaps it's not the dinner itself, but the forced gathering of family.
Yeah, I mean, it's also the food. It's also just like we're making all this food, like, obviously turkey and then all the sides and everything. And it's like, I'm not going to eat all of that. It's like,
It feels wasteful to you. Oh, because you're not a leftover guy. You don't like leftovers.
I mean, I'm not. Yeah, I will eat leftovers, but no, I'm not like looking forward to like, oh, all this food and oh man, for the next like few days we're gonna get to eat all this great food like every day. I'm like, no, I'm gonna have like one plate on Thanksgiving. I'm only gonna eat maybe like a small percentage of everything that there is because I'm not gonna like most of it. And then no, I'm not looking forward to the leftovers. So for me, it's all just a bunch of work for nothing.
Well, no wonder you don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah, so for me, I'm like, this is all, and then then like most of the people are just like in the kitchen doing stuff, so they're not like hanging out with people, and you can help, which you should do, and you do, but then it's just nothing about it is relaxing, and it's just like all this effort and money and time for a result that I don't find particularly worth it. So
It's
yeah,
a severely outdated tradition.
yeah.
That's because in a lot of ways I feel the same way as you, Devin. It's like I don't mind like, oh hey, here's a fancy dinner, great. Food is food, and if it's yummy, great. But like it's the forced family interaction. Like I barely like these people, and you want me to go for like a dinner at a time when you never eat dinner, right? And and then you're forced to do all the small talk, and it's yucky. Also, I saw a meme this week, and it's gonna hit hard for you guys as well, where it was like, why are they giving? Or no, it's wild to me that they give a kid a whole week off to eat one dinner that they're not even going to like.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
It's something along those lines. I'm sure it's everywhere.
that's pretty
now.
close. Yeah,
That's exactly close. The kids don't like that kind of food. Nobody like it's outdated. Like the idea like the millennial trend, if you will, the Friendsgiving of like, hey, let's just all get together, bring what we want, and have a fun time. Like that's the same vibe as like 1950s Thanksgiving of like, oh, we're all just gonna bring our favorite side dish and someone's gonna make the turkey and it's gonna be a great time. But like it's not anymore. Things have changed. Anyways, who cares?
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. And then that's the whole idea behind it. Ugh, colonizers. Anyways, Ben,
Yeah.
tell us about something so I can get off my soapbox.
Yeah, like you sure found a spicy topic to start this off on, like
Thanksgiving.
and very specific question that meant that I had to answer it truthfully. Thanks, Stephen.
Yeah, you can never lie or adjust the truth on this show ever.
That is true. Yeah. So I recently have gotten into the Percy Jackson series, which is kind of interesting. Have you guys ever experienced anything from the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series?
I haven't, but we were just looking at the books like yesterday because Jen and I were thinking like, what's a book series the kids might like, and we just saw like, I've heard of this, I don't know anything about it, but
Yeah,
so yeah, that's
definitely.
all.
Give it a shot.
Like, what's the age range for it?
Well, the main character is a 12-year-old, but it's like I don't see any reason why it couldn't. I mean, it's your typical coming of age kids going and doing wild adventures. Only it's all themed about about Greek gods. And so
cool.
I watched the film first, and my son had already read the first book for school, and then was starting the second book, and he was like, I gotta keep reading these. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So we're watching the book, and like every 5 minutes he's like, pause it. This is what they're doing wrong. Like, I can't believe what they're doing in this movie.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
He's one of us.
He's one of us.
And he's so young. He learned a very, very important lesson about books being better than the movies. Always.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah. Well, so it was interesting. I mean, the movie was fine, and I started reading the book, and sure enough, like immediately you're reading the book, and you're like, oh yeah, this is so much better than this movie.
Oh yeah.
And but one thing that's also nice, I mean, the movie is fine to watch. Like, go for it. Like it's I would say that probably watching it before you read the books is the better way to go about it, because the book is different enough that you're not going to be like, oh, I already know what's going to happen.
You have to keep your upward trajectory of amusement. Like oh, this was good. Oh, this was even better. Oh, this was the best. Like, you have to keep it in order. You can't be backsliding.
Right. Yeah. But Rick Riordan wrote the books. There's 5 of them in the series. I'm about a third of the way through the first one, and it's really good. And now we're also watching the Percy Jackson and the Olympians TV series. We're catching on Hulu, but I think that the second season is about to premiere on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
And the series, after watching, like I just had to I stopped halfway through the middle of the second episode in order to record this fine show for you all.
Yeah, can we move this right along? I gotta show you. I gotta get back to you.
Right. I gotta go watch more Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and it is far closer to the. It's not a 1-for-1 for the book, but it is so much closer.
Mhm.
And yeah, like the things that they do differently, it actually kind of makes sense that they're doing them differently that way. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
Well, but also that's the difference between a TV show and a movie. It's
Mhm.
like a TV show, you have the time to explore all the details and things, but a movie, you got to
Yeah.
shove everything into such a small amount of time.
Yeah, and so there's the amount of things that they had to cut corners in terms of the story for the movie was mind-boggling. In the movie, the characters are 16, not 12. I'm imagining in order to capitalize on
Yeah.
sex appeal, probably.
were they
Is
were they sexy?
The they were a fine-looking cast. That's
Okay.
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Careful.
And
Careful
the
All right, Megan Kelly, let's see. Not that.
sorry, no, but I mean, they're like one of the actresses in it I've seen in other things that are much more mature.
Yeah.
So like, anyhow, Percy Jackson is a kid who grew up from stories that his mom told about the Greek gods, but he's starting to kind of see things that are not that other people don't see, and they're very odd. And he ends up at a museum. He ends up getting attacked by a fury and kills it, and then realizes like basically someone he thought that was his best friend in school is actually a satyr that has been that's been protecting him and keeping him all right. So he ends up going to this camp for half-bloods because he is he's the son of a Greek god. And so the Greek gods, one of their big things is they come down to earth and they have babies with mortals. And so half-bloods like Hercules or many other
And that's the term.
stories
That's
in
the term they use in the book, half-blood.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Hello. Oh,
hello.
he's cutting out.
I'm cutting out.
Oh, okay. We can hear you, but you sound like you are extremely far away. So
How about now?
Say again.
Is now better?
Yes.
Is now
Yeah,
better? Okay,
Mhm.
very good. My microphone cut out.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that was fun.
It's still being a little jittery, but continue.
Hmm.
We'll see what happens.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just see what happens. Okay. So he's a demigod.
Demigod.
Is the other way to put it. Yeah, he's a
Right.
son of Poseidon, and but he doesn't know his dad, and he but there's a big adventure happening because someone stole a lightning bolt from Zeus, and so everybody's thinking maybe it's Percy, and yeah,
Okay.
it's really good. It's super good. I highly recommend it. The show is really good. The movie's fine. It's about a 60% on my 65. It was good enough for me to go, let me see more about what's going on in this series.
Okay. All right.
No.
I'm gonna stop you because you need to jiggle your mic cord or something because it's still coming across kind of funky. We can tell what you're saying, but just barely. But while you do that,
worries.
I'm gonna talk about a couple things I watched this week. The big ones are a couple of. Oh, he left. He's back. A couple of movie. I don't even know what to call these things. Documentaries, I guess. So there's this a YouTube channel called Frame Voyager, and the thing that popped up first was the title. The title seemed a little clickbaity: Spielberg's chaotic production of Jurassic Park, 1993. And I was like, okay, I like Jurassic Park stuff. Let's check this out. And this little this documentary thing is only about 4 months old. So I was like, oh, so this is something recent. Okay. And it's just a really, really good breakdown of the creation of the movie, starting talking about Michael Crichton and how he came up with the idea and how it was like part of first it was a screenplay, and then the screenplay didn't work, so then he reworked it as a novel, and then the novel, they were like, oh wow, you should make a movie out of this, and he had to do a screenplay from that. Like it starts.
I tried already.
Like I tried it, and it was like way different as well. So anyways, they're all the way through to the completion of the film, talking about the actors and the special effects and all that stuff. And Jurassic Park came out at a very pivotal point in movies and computer graphics. It was just this super high profile movie with really, really good CG in it that was like, oh, we can do this now, and that kind of changed things, if you will.
They fly now.
They fly now. It also showed the stop motion that they were going to use originally. There's like clips of that in there, which I've seen those clips before, but it's always fun to see like side by side, because they did most of, or as a demo, the raptor kitchen scene. Spoilers for Jurassic Park. When the raptors go into the kitchen and the kids are running away. And there's a really good CG shot of them, like the door popping open, and then they both walk in, and one of them like snaps at the other one and makes a noise, right? We all know what this is.
Yeah.
They had the exact same scene in using stop motion. And they also had this thing where they were doing the dinosaurs' tongues like snakes, like that was an idea they had, I guess. So it's the two raptors, but it's stop motion with snake tongues. It's bizarre. Like, we were so ready for something better than stop motion. Like, that movie would not have done anywhere near what it did if they had gone that route. It's crazy. So I watched that and I was like, wow, this is really, really good. And it's like it's an hour and 15 minutes. So it's a significant watch, and it gets deep on some stuff. So after that, I was like, oh, this is a cool channel. What else? And the next thing that popped up was the insane IMAX production of Interstellar. And I was like, yes, please. And so I've gone through and watched. Did I finish it? I don't think I finished it. But again, from the inception of the movie, it started off as like this hard sci-fi written by this physicist and like their like other scientist buddy. The whole movie started out rooted in science, and then it just went on from there. It's a great story. It's fantastic. So Frame Voyager, there'll be links in our show notes. If you like cool movie behind the scenes documentaries, making of kind of stuff, it kind of breaks all that down in a nice solid hour-long package. And it's really good. And so, that's what I spent some of my week consuming, that kind of fun stuff.
Very cool.
All right.
Cool.
Ben, anything else?
Yeah.
Do you have more things to talk about?
Oh my gosh. So last week we were talking, I was like, what did we talk about? Do we talk about Pluribus? Do we talk about anything that Valve has announced that they're releasing? And you said yes and yes.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Not Valve last week. We just talked about Pluribus. So let's talk about Valve.
Dude, the fourth episode of Pluribus was so good. Sorry.
It was so good.
It was really good. Valve. Valve. What is Valve? Explain to the people.
Valve's a video game company that got extremely popular because they released some games, and in order to release those games, they had to create a storefront. And so they created a storefront called Steam. Mm-hmm. And then from there, they made tons of money. and continued to make games, and then got into the hardware market and they made a Steam controller. They made a this project called the Steam Machine that completely and utterly failed. And then then they made the Valve Index, which was their one of the first
hold on.
best.
Sorry, I thought about it for half a second. Didn't fail, like it's a thing worked. It just was not popular.
Oh
right.
yeah.
They created Steam machines, which was like a console type thing that you were supposed to plug in, and it would use your Wi-Fi and connect to things, and you can play your computer games on your TV. And it happened, and then no one heard about it. It just kind of stopped.
Well, it didn't. The idea that they had at that point was they were saying, okay, well, right now Microsoft has a monopoly in terms of the operating system that gamers use, and the amount of challenges that are there, and they didn't want to really play in Microsoft's ecosystem. There were a lot of reasons why that wasn't financially a good idea for them, and a few other things. So they said, well, let's make the Steam machine, and if we build a machine that gets really popular that runs Linux, then maybe people will port their games or develop their games strictly for Linux. Well, that didn't happen. So the Steam machine failed because nobody wanted one, because it only played games that would work on Linux. So flash forward several years later, and they come out with the Steam Deck. Now, the Steam Deck is the same idea. It's running on Linux. However, in the intervening years, they had worked very hard to make what's called a compatibility layer called Proton. The entire idea behind it is that they rewrote the libraries from scratch that Windows games use that let them work. And now pretty much any Windows game that you would play on a Windows PC, you can play on Linux. And it isn't just confined to Steam, the Steam Deck. It's any Linux distribution that you have. You could, theoretically, if you're using Steam, you could play any, almost any Windows game that's ever been made. That's an oversimplification, but that is kind of where we are at. And the Steam Deck ended up becoming a tremendously popular thing because it was essentially taking what everybody loved about the Nintendo Switch and turning it, making a computer out of it, because it wasn't just
a handheld PC. Yeah. It's great.
Right. Yeah. So Valve about a week and a half ago, or maybe 2 weeks.
Hold on, there was one more piece of hardware came out that's kind of connected. The Valve Index. The Index, right, which came out when they put out Half-Life Alyx. So the Half-Life game series is what when they were just gaming and software development, that started their popularity. When Half-Life 2 was released, it required you to install Steam for the game to run. And since everybody was anticipating Half-Life 2 so hard, they knew that they would get like huge engagement there, and they did. And then to continue this Half-Life series, kind of, you've got Half-Life Alyx that came out. It's a VR only game, and their Steam Index, which was their VR machine, came out at the same time. Yeah, that was their other big piece of hardware.
So, and many people found that even though it's not the most recent VR headset that's ever come out, it still has specs that are comparable to the top of the line of today. Like the things that are different between it and what Meta is doing is that it required base stations to be around. So it's not just cameras looking at your environment. There's actually cameras that are looking back at you in order to determine where you are in 3D space.
And that was a big killer for certain VR stuff. People don't want to have to rearrange their entire room with wires and all that stuff to play their VR. I mean, some people would, of course, but like that was a barrier for me. I was like, I don't want that. I'll wait until they can figure out how to do it without them. And sure enough, like the Oculus Rift that I have, it has cameras on it, and it just uses the room you're in to figure out your orientation. It's awesome.
Yes. Yeah. Well, now we after a couple of years of anticipation and leaks and rumors, they finally announced that early next year, 3 different new bits of hardware are coming out. We have a Steam machine, a new Steam machine that now that they've learned everything that they could from the Steam Deck and its popularity, it's basically just a Steam Deck that plugs into your TV with a few other things that are going on with it. It's about 6 times as powerful, 6 times more powerful than the Steam Deck. It's got a lot of neat stuff going on it. And that's what, if you talk to anybody about what Valve is doing, that's the number one thing that they're going to talk about. All the videos are like, oh, Steam machine, Steam machine, Steam machine. To me, it's the least like interesting part of the 3 sort of things. So yeah. Do we want to say anything about the Steam machine before we move on to the other 2?
Move on, because it's fine. It's a computer. It's the same thing that all other consoles are now. It's a computer. You plug it into your TV. It connects to Steam. Awesome. Move on.
And if you have if you already have Steam and you've engaged in building a Steam library, potentially with a lot of the sales, because the software that they sell usually goes on ridiculous sales where you can pick up games for incredibly cheap, and build up a big library. So the day one, if you're one of those people and you've got a few games on Steam, you pop a Steam machine under your TV and it already has all the games you want to play because you already own them. You don't have to buy new copies of them.
Don't have to worry about discs. Remember discs?
Yeah. Right. The Steam Frame is their new VR headset that's coming out. This is really interesting because it seems to be the best of both worlds. Everything they took from the Valve Index and how well it controls and all of that sort of stuff, married with the inside-out tracking that the Oculus Quest, Meta Quest, and Meta Rift headset that you were talking about, like cameras that see where you are in 3D space.
Yeah.
And then, but on top of that, it is a full-fledged computer running Linux. And it's also running Linux on ARM, which means that in order to do all this, they had to, just like they made a Linux compatibility layer, now they've done that same thing for running things on ARM, which ARM processors are low power draw, high efficiency, great devices. All of the new Macintoshes that have come out, and the Vision Pro, like all of Apple's hardware that has come out in the last 5 years, they're all running on ARM architecture, which gets them really good performance at very low power draws with low battery usage. So it's kind of like a magic sauce there.
They're putting all the top tech in this thing.
Yeah, they wrote a compatibility layer for all of the games on Windows to now run on ARM as well.
That's awesome.
Which, yeah, and potentially could have far-reaching implications for like the industry as a whole moving forward. Super cool. But
to back off of the high tech stuff for a second, it also you can play games on it by itself, or you can use a custom connector to your PC to still have your PC process the graphic stuff and then push it through to the headset. So you can do both.
Stream the games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, the way that they're marketing it is that the number one usage for it is going to be streaming the games from your PC. And then also if you have lower spec VR games, they're
Oh, like Walkabout Mini Golf? Yes, please.
Like Walkabout Mini Golf, yeah, which already runs on the Oculus Quest or Meta Quest. Now, here's like the wild part about it. I imagine that one of the reasons why they wanted to deal with ARM for this was for all the reasons I said before, but also because of how easy it would be for any developer that has already made something for Android, for the Android-based MetaQuest, to port their games from MetaQuest directly into Steam.
Interesting.
So we're entering into this thing where they're kind of coming at this from a lot of different ways, and this could be the beginning of like a bit of a VR renaissance.
It all comes down to
I'm
price point with
here
this
for
thing, because they
Right.
have not announced prices yet. It's supposed to be first quarter 2026 is when they're going to be released. I know their Steam index was like $1,000.
Yeah.
So this is more technically complex. Is that going to be the price point? If it is, then sorry, I can't afford that. But if they get it down to around the $500 range, that might be doable.
I guess that's interesting, because I'm curious about it all, right? Because I think that this is fascinating for a few different other reasons. It's not just throwing a new VR headset on your head and you've got the same stuff. It's that, yes, but also it's a full-fledged Linux PC. So that means that the potential for it to be a workstation where you're doing work in VR on a giant virtual screen in front of you, or multiple virtual screens, like there is a potential here which is really interesting to me, mostly because like it's not, I mean, for example, Apple, they've got the Vision Pro, very expensive piece of tech, but it'll run iPad apps. However, it's like, well, how much work is actually being done on an iPad, whereas Linux has stuff that you do work in, like it's it has word processors, it has all sorts of different things, it has Blender, it has so it could be a device where you are programming the game that you're going to play on the device, like
That's
the utility of it is far greater than anything that's Android based or anything that's Vision OS based.
For a long time with
default
with VR, it was either it's just kind of okay or it's great, but you need to plug it into a PC, right? Like there was kind of these couple of barriers to what you've like, this should be better. I think we're kind of there now. Like there's computers and processing powers in a place where you can shrink it down and have it on someone's face with a strap and the battery in the back and have it be balanced and small enough, but can still do XYZ, and and then if your applications need it, you can still plug it into your powerful PC and still have it connect and work. It also has foveated streaming. Did you know about this? Oh man, Devin, do you know what this is?
It's the word sounds familiar, but I have no idea.
The word did sound familiar to me as well. So foveated streaming is it optimizes detail where your eyes are looking, and
specifically the streaming from your PC to the headset. They've had foveated rendering on the PlayStation VR 2 for the last few years, and that was saving the computational power in order to like really make it super sharp and high quality where you're looking. It kind of uses eye tracking in order where you're looking, that's what's super sharp. Everything else, they don't have to render the scene as complexly because, well, it's all in your peripheral vision, so you're not focused on it anyway. Kind of compute. Yeah.
So
this is taking that idea of the rendering, but instead doing it on the streaming side. So it means that if you're dealing with a lot of bandwidth of information going from your PC on one side of the room over to your face wirelessly, then it kind of takes that same idea and is like, oh, we're only going to not just render but stream what's in that little area that you're looking at directly.
Yeah, and I watched a video on YouTube of somebody doing a review of this thing because they sent them to them to use and review, and they talked about this and like trying to trick it. Like, oh yeah, I've got this on my face and I'm trying to move my eyes like super fast to see like if there any kind of latency or any kind of stutter or whatever, and they're like, I could not tell. Like it consistently kept up properly. And that was, to me, it's like, wow, that they got that to work just by but having a couple of cameras staring back at your eyes to track where you're looking to then only render that part with, at a higher, anyways. Amazing piece of tech. Super fun.
Yeah. And can't wait to see how much it's going to cost, what it's going to mean for anything. But I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, for sure.
But they also announced a new Steam controller, of which the original Steam controller I still use. Any day I'm playing a video game, generally I'm probably using a Steam controller for it. So I still love the thing. And the Steam Deck has an incredible, is even better than the Steam controller because it has 2 sticks, which the Steam controller didn't have. And this is just taking everything that's in the Steam Deck and taking out a computer and the screen and just making it a controller. It's going to be great. Can't wait. That thing is going to be a day one purchase for me, likely.
Really?
Yeah. Almost, unless they price it at like $120, like a lot of like the Elite controllers.
I was about to say 120, dude. That's my guess for that thing.
That's I doubt it's that. I would bet you it's in the $40 to $80 range.
No, not that low. There's no way it's that low.
Yeah, I mean,
that'd be great.
8BitDo has similar tech, not quite as much tech, and they generally are in the $30 to $50 range.
Yeah, but can they connect to all Steam things ever?
Well, yes, they can.
Well, good.
Just not like just through Bluetooth and wires. It's not through like the new connection dongle stuff that they've got going on for it all. But yeah, I mean, the 8BitDo is a great company. I love their controllers. I'm looking at a couple of them too. I have too many controllers and not enough friends.
No kidding.
Hence, I have a podcast. So,
if you would like one of Ben's controllers, send us $30 to $50
and be my friend.
And be Ben's friend. All right, we need to get into future now. We're already almost 40 minutes into this superior podcast.
Travesty.
So it's time for some future or now.
Now.
I love that you're my echo, Ben.
Thank you.
I feel good. Devon, make me feel nothing or something.
Knew I was going to go. I knew you were going to choose me first. Well, this is actually somewhat related to what we were talking about because the article that I read from Science Daily is physicists prove the universe isn't a simulation after all.
Prove.
Researchers have mathematically proven that our universe cannot be a simulation. All right.
Okay.
So
let's get into it.
There's a few steps to this. They talk about, first off, the simulation hypothesis, which we've talked about many times, and most people are probably familiar with the idea that we could be living in a simulation, kind of like the Matrix. Part of that theory is that if simulations of reality are possible, then it seems like there would be the possibility of having a simulation within a simulation, such as if we are in a simulation right now, and yet we build computers that are able to simulate reality, then that would be a simulation inside a simulation. And then could that keep going? So if
Yeah.
that is possible, and there
Spoiler
are,
alert for anyone who hasn't seen the 13th floor.
yeah, which I'm not sure I have. I've heard it's good, but
Oh, it's good.
I should see it. So if within the normal reality there can be multiple simulations, because we could have multiple computers and run simulations, and then within the simulations you can have simulations. It means the potential number of simulations that exist far outweighs the number of one reality, assuming there's only one reality. Um, so the odds of us existing in a simulation are very high because I mean, I'm sure people have done the math and there's a more specific analytical way of saying it, but just the idea that, you know, there's one reality and millions of simulations. Which one is it more likely you're going to be in?
Hmm.
So that's some people use that as the idea that it's more likely that we're living in a simulation than living in reality. Anyway, that's the hypothesis. And so these scientists, so I didn't quite understand this. And one of the reasons is the ideas and the math behind it are probably so complicated that to dumb it down to a uh, article for the general public is probably very difficult. So um, they don't really go into that many specifics, but they do say that they try to describe what the hidden layers of reality, and they call it the Platonic realm, which I thought was really interesting. And I hadn't actually heard that term. I've heard of the Platonic ideal, which I'm sure that's based off of. But so this says physicists describe this information layer, which is the layer underlying all reality, like underneath time and space and gravity. And they say that this is kind of like stems from theories of quantum gravity and underneath quantum mechanics. They think there's just information. And actually, it's funny. This actually was published in a journal called Journal of Holography Applications in Physics. And holography is actually the idea that a lot of what we perceive and what we perceive as reality is just kind of an extension of the underlying reality, which is a totally different thing. And they say that that is just information. It's like how time emerges from either relativity or from quantum mechanics, and how space is just an emergent property of something deeper. So we think of things existing within space and time as being a fundamental property of that area or whatever we live in. But there's plenty of theories that time itself is an emergent property, space is an emergent property, and that's not actually the fundamental layer of reality. And that's kind of a form of holography. Or so anyway, I guess, and again, that's why I like this term Platonic realm, because I guess what they've labeled that whatever fundamental layer of reality would be the Platonic realm. Um, which, if you're familiar with the Platonic ideal, that Plato had the idea that, there exists this ideal version of everything, and that's like what we compare things to.
Yeah,
Anyway, so the
everything
Platonic
is a
realm.
copy of.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
of that Platonic ideal. So they say that the Platonic realm, a mathematical foundation more real than the physical world we perceive. According to the new research, it is from this realm that space and time themselves emerge. However, the scientists demonstrated that even this information-based structure cannot fully describe reality through computation alone. And so here's where it gets to why we couldn't be in a simulation, because how this fundamental layer of reality works cannot be, not just that it's like we need more processing power, or there's physical or engineering limitations. It's that the way this reality works cannot be reproduced through computation alone. That's what they're saying.
Interesting.
So by applying advanced mathematical principles, including Gödel's incompleteness theorem, they proved that any consistent and complete model of existence requires what they call non-algorithmic understanding. And then they try to explain what that is. To grasp this idea, imagine how a computer works. It follows a set of defined instructions step by step. Yet some truths exist that cannot be reached by following any sequence of logical operations, which these are called apparently Gödelian truths. this whole area seems really interesting. But as an example, they use something. This is kind of a. They say this statement. Sorry. As an example, if you say this true statement is not provable, if it were provable, it would be false, contradicting logic. If it cannot be proven, then it is true, which means any logical system attempting to prove it is incomplete. In either case, computation alone falls short. And so they don't really explain, like I said, they don't get into the math of really like Gödelian incompleteness theorem or Gödel's incompleteness theorem. Not that his theorem is incomplete. So to put all this together, they say in the underlying rules of the Platonic realm, if the underlying rules of the Platonic realm seem similar to those governing a computer simulation, could that realm itself be simulated? The answer, according to the researchers, is no. Drawing on mathematical theorems related to incompleteness and indefinability, we demonstrate that a fully consistent and complete description of reality cannot be achieved through computation alone. It requires non-algorithmic understanding, which by definition is beyond algorithmic computation and therefore cannot be simulated. Hence, the universe cannot be a simulation.
Wow.
They go
Dude.
slightly more detailed. So I have issues with this.
Oh, is it because you're not a scientist?
I'm not a scientist. I'm not a mathematician. So my ideas about this are from a very, obviously inexpert and layman opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems to me they're making assumptions about what. Okay, so I guess we don't really know how reality works.
Right.
We're still trying to figure it out. We have a long way to go. So that's one thing. To say that we can't simulate that reality when we don't even know what it is kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's where I think the math comes in that they're not showing us because we wouldn't understand it because it's so complicated. And I'm assuming that math does a good job of saying like, whatever this underlying reality is, we know it has these particular characteristics, and those characteristics cannot be simulated properly using computational, not even computers, but I'm assuming whatever the ideal computational system is. Because again, if you're just saying with computers, that would be an engineering problem. You want to say fundamentally, in theory, cannot be done. But we don't know exactly what that underlying reality is, and we don't know what the future of computation is. Like, there can be very, fundamental shifts in our understanding of things because those happen, not all the time, but every so often. So I think it's kind of hard to say for sure that we would prove it wrong when we don't have enough information to even know what reality is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I know what you're saying. The way that I saw it or heard it was that it seems like they took several kind of leaps in logic, but those leaps probably seem less leapish if we saw and understood the math to why they made those leaps of logic. But what I kind of garnered was that since the world has paradoxes in it, that we cannot program for a paradox. But
that's why I didn't like that example at all, because that example is just language. Like, first, there's plenty of paradoxes that we can think of. I mean, any paradox is something we think of because it doesn't seem like paradoxes can exist in reality. I mean, that's why all paradoxes we talk about are thought experiments.
Right. Yeah.
Like there's no like, this paradox that actually exists. All paradoxes we talk about are, if this happened, then how could this happen? But those things didn't actually happen. So it's weird to say you can't simulate reality because you can't simulate a paradox when it's like, yeah, but paradoxes aren't real.
It's not that we
So
can't
don't
simulate
simulate them.
a paradox, it's that we can't program for a paradox. And this might go down to the point of like, you can't program a computer to understand that 1 + 1 = 2, but also 1 + 1 = 3. Right? Like one of those is impossible, but we need you to understand both of those things in order to program reality. I don't look very uneducated
again,
person
it
talking.
seems like a pretty easy programming solution.
That's
But
why it
I'm
probably
saying,
isn't.
well, that's what I'm saying. I think there's a more fundamental thing that these researchers have probably discovered, and it's just really hard to explain it to a layman. And it's like, well, if you want to understand our research, you have to have a PhD in mathematics, and then you can understand it. And it's like, and then you might criticize it, or by then you might say like, oh yeah, this is solid. Like I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But even taking a step back from that is kind of more of the whole, the more general idea of you can never prove, like anything exists other than you. Like this reality that you're trying to describe and you're applying these mathematical, equations or theorems to is all, let's assume we are in a simulation. Everything is generated by the simulation. And we can even say that we're unlike the Matrix. The Matrix assumes that we exist in the physical world and in reality, and our minds are just in the simulation. Let's assume we have no physical counterpart, that our consciousness is part of the simulation. That means that anything we perceive in the simulation is part of the simulation. So even anything we prove or calculate or compute can all be made up by the simulation. We're also making the assumption that the simulation is trying to recreate reality, but there's no given for that. If we're in a simulation and we're in like the 10th layer of a simulation, and we can somehow be guaranteed, okay, well, we're going to take you out of all these layers and we're going to show you reality. That reality could be nothing like what we understand. I mean, quantum mechanics and relativity and every Newtonian mechanics can all just be made up in our particular reality and has no absolute relation to reality. So to try to use anything we determine in this simulation to try to prove or disprove the simulation could be false because it's all part of the simulation. And that's why when it comes to are we living in a simulation, can we prove it or disprove it? Ultimately, no, because no matter what you prove or disprove, you can always say, well, that's part of the simulation.
Yeah, but physicists prove the universe isn't a simulation after all. That's the article you brought.
That's why I'm saying I disagree with that. I don't think that's probably. I'm sure even if you talk to the scientists and the mathematicians in this, you could probably say that, and they would probably be like, okay, fine. If you really want it to be accurate, we have proven that based on the understanding of reality as we have it, we cannot. And if the simulation was to recreate reality as we know it, that is not possible. Yes, technically we can't disprove it because you can never disprove it, which is why it's in the realm of philosophy and not science that you get to the really deep, like, oh, are we in a simulation? We don't know. We never know. Am I the only person is my consciousness the only consciousness that exists and has ever existed and will ever exist? That's all. I know that my consciousness exists because that's all I ever can know, because I cannot prove anything else beyond that. So yes, fine. If you want to go to those lengths, then let's just throw up our hands and not do any science or anything because nothing matters. It's like I'm sure they would roll their eyes at me because of that.
What
I think that the title of the original journal article is a little bit more illustrative of this, which is consequences of undecidability in physics on the theory of everything.
There, that's
so
better.
The entire idea here is not necessarily like layman.
The Science Daily is to blame.
they had a reductive, like they dumbed it down and and perhaps it's not exactly, but the idea here is that it seems that they're disproving that there is a theory of everything, that there's a single theory that's going to explain everything in the universe.
So that's interesting, because that is a totally different topic, but I can see that that's more interesting than the simulation idea, to be like, there is no theory, there cannot be a theory of everything. I mean, that is, because that actually goes to something we could actually discover and actually would have an impact on our understanding of reality, whether or not it's simulated. Like, that's more interesting, actually.
So in the abstract, it about halfway through, it says, together these results imply that a wholly algorithmic theory of everything is impossible. Certain facets of reality will remain computationally undecidable and can be accessed only through non-algorithmic understanding. We formalize this by constructing a, quote, meta theory of everything, end quote, grounded in non-algorithmic understanding, showing how it can account for undecidable phenomena and is demonstrating that the breakdown of computational descriptions of nature does not entail the breakdown of science, because any putative simulation of the universe would itself be algorithmic. This framework also implies that the universe cannot be a simulation.
I should have gone a step deeper and read that. So good job, man. That's
okay. I'm going to retake control of this podcast from you nerds.
Sure.
We are almost an hour in. We're going to take our break now, and when we come back, we are getting into book club. Make sure that you've read City Grown from Seed by Diana Dima. Links in the show notes, and then we'll talk about it. So we'll be right back. Oh, wow. Another free listener. Incredible. Look, I love that you're here, but let's be real. You could be getting so much more. Bonus episodes, unfiltered takes, behind-the-scenes chaos. All you have to do is join our Patreon at patreon.com/sciencefactionpodcast. Or don't. But if you don't, just know that somewhere in a parallel universe, a better version of you already has. And we're back.
Heyo.
Hi.
hey.
And a big thank you to our patrons, Renee and Josh. Y'all are great. You heard more things, including stuff that was going to be in Future or Now if we weren't talking too much.
Yeah.
On the pod. So
too much steam
get
talk.
More.
Yeah. You get some nice bonuses in there, and you got to hear me fail at singing a theme song. So, was that worth it?
Yeah.
I
guess which one it was.
I'll never tell. All right, let's get to our book club. First things first, what's next week, Ben?
Next week, Welcome to the Medical Clinic at the Interplanetary Relay Station by Carolyn M. Joachim, which we've read other stories by Carolyn M. Joachim on the show.
Yes.
So I'm really excited to,
this one,
such as I'm just curious, but we can figure it out later.
Yeah. I don't know. But this one's interesting because it's a choose your own adventure style story where you are kind of filling out an intake form for the medical clinic. So like, if you're human, go to this paragraph. If you're alien, go to that paragraph, that kind of thing. So we'll have to read through it a few times, see what we get, and compare notes next week. So that'll be fun. But this week, Ben.
Yeah. So sorry.
No.
I'm looking through what we read by we read Rock, Paper, Scissors, Love, Death, which was by Carolyn M. Joachim.
Oh, okay.
Which was the first episode of its story time with Will Wheaton. And
right.
Did I miss that episode? That doesn't sound familiar.
That's the one with the time travel, right? In the bus and all that. Yeah.
Devon was missing in action this episode, attending a wedding and recovering from a
okay,
wife.
so I'm like, none of that sounds familiar.
It was a really cool time travel story.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was very good. So, cool. More craziness.
And, that week you were building a lot of off-brand Lego.
The
that right now,
instead of recording this podcast.
He made the right choice.
Stephen, Yeah, Stephen, you were picking up chicks.
Wow, that
like
long
chickens.
ago.
Well, yeah. This was back in I can't see April 16th, 2025. So yeah, earlier this year.
Perfect. Those chicks are now chickens that give us half a dozen eggs a day. So that's a lot of
yeah,
eggs.
bring some over on Tuesday, my friend.
Maybe. Probably.
Okay, or I'll come over.
No, because our Thanksgiving tradition is we do the deviled eggs, and so we need extra eggs this week anyway. So I'm not sure how much we'll have, but I know a guy. I could sneak you a couple of eggs. It'll be good.
The eggs are gonna fall off a truck somewhere.
Yeah, catch them quick.
Indeed.
This week.
All right. This week, City Grown from Seed by Diana Dima.
Yes.
All right. Which is a story narrated by a sentient city that began in the seed of the pocket of a girl named Rafa.
So let's talk about this. This came out August 2023. Looks like there's an audio version of it maybe. But this is a very surreal story. I don't know if I'd place this with science fiction. Because I can't take what's being said here at face value. This is chock full of like symbolism and
it's
that kind of stuff.
If it's
there's no place
real,
for symbolism in my sci-fi.
If it's quote unquote real in the story, then it is, and not just metaphor.
That's
fantasy.
the word I was looking for. Yeah.
I didn't know what to think of this story either. It reminded me of Synecdoche, New York, that movie.
Oh yeah, that was wild.
That's not really what happened, but that was another, like, the guy builds a replica of New York City and then just builds like layers and layers, and
well, he's trying to build the perfect stage for his play, but in order to do that, he had to reconstruct reality like as his stage. I didn't really understand the movie, but that's a little bits and pieces I did. I thought house is always on fire. I don't understand.
Yeah, come on, rewatch that.
It's weird.
See if I understand it now more.
Do some drugs and watch the movie. It'll be great. Okay, let's talk about this story though. City grown from seed. So yes, like Ben said, it's from the point of view of a sentient city that comes from a seed. And they're narrating their life, and the easiest takeaway is that the city is kind of mimicking the girl as she ages and grows up, and they kind of affect each other in special ways until the point where the city almost dies, but then finally the girl comes back and is in a better relationship. And that's the warning is she's in a not good relationship, and then she's alone, and then she finally finds a good relationship, and in the end they end up staying inside the city, making another city inside the city from her new significant other. I don't remember. They didn't get married or anything, right? And it doesn't matter.
No, I don't think so.
So like when you read, it's not a difficult read. As wacky as that sounds, it's a really smooth read, I thought, because you just kind of put yourself in the head of like, I'm a sentient city and I'm growing, and you just kind of, once you're there, it all makes quote unquote logical sense. What's being said, there's nothing over that I felt was overly weird or like bizarre. It was more like, for me, my brain trying to understand what the relationship between the city and the girl, and like what that was trying to say as the story went. So, and I don't think I got it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think. I was like, is it more like she's going to her hometown? Because when she brings her like new significant other, and it's like, it felt more like, here's the place I used to know, or I don't know. I read it like 2 weeks ago, so I don't even really remember it.
Yeah.
I meant to reread it.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. But no, yeah. So Lucia is the name of her new love interest, and it's it's interesting. Like it reminded me a little bit um of the Giving Tree, a bit.
Yeah, had
You
that
know,
vibe
of
for
this,
sure.
yeah, of this idea of something that is so intricately connected to a person, and yet the person grows and changes and leaves for a time and then comes back, and there's, as much as the person has grown and changed, so has the city in this case, and not always for the better, just they've grown, you know.
You know,
And the city,
maybe so. As you're talking, I'm making revelations to myself. The city is like your true sense of self and who you are, and that will change according to, what happens in your life. You feel good about yourself, you feel bad about yourself. Sometimes you're in a phase in your life where you're not taking care of yourself at all, and then when you come
right?
back to yourself, there's some repairing to be done. Maybe that's what the city represents. It was like your true inner self that you have to nurture and care and grow and protect, and then until
Well,
you're too big to be protected, and bad things happen.
I mean, I think that there's that, but there's also the fact that, like, it's about relationships too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the city is not the same as Rafa. It's like deal it's dealing with the fact that as you grow, you can be unkind. It's very likely that you will be unkind to the people and things that love you, whether it's family members, whether it's friends, like, and so, for sure, there's kind of a scene in this where as Rafa grew, she's visiting less, and one day Rafa walks past holding hands with a girl, and then turns away from the city, which stings the city a bit. And so, in response, the city grows, like, just spontaneously grows an abandoned five-story garage, like,
Yeah.
and because it's lacking room to sprawl, the city grows inwards with twisting roads and folding buildings. And so it's fascinating too, because, like, you know Rafa, when she planted the city and it started growing, she didn't realize that she had a responsibility to this thing that was going to love her, you know
Mm-hmm.
um to not hurt it.
Let me ask you this:
Yeah.
are your rats currently thirsty?
Yes, they are. They sure are. Why do you ask? It's so weird. Let
Oh,
me
no
see if I
reason.
can adjust, if I can adjust this down.
No,
How's that
no,
sounding? Is
it's
that
it's
better?
not that bad. It was like you're in the middle of
Okay.
this impassioned speech, and behind you, click, click,
Yeah.
click, 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 click.
It's just it's what happens now that I have rats here, pet rats.
You've got rats.
They're so adorable. You have no idea. And this is one of those things, though, that like, apropos of this story, my son wanted pet rats, and now we're kind of learning. He's learning and we're learning about, does a 12-year-old, like, can a 12-year-old make a commitment to be as good of a pet owner as these pets deserve,
Ooh.
you know
Okay.
and that's kind of what this story is about, right? Like, I think about it and I go, well, if these were just my rats, I'd want to be spending as much time, you know in enriching things with them, like taking them out, spending more time, because they're very, um what do you call it,
Alive.
they're creatures. They're not just alive, they like, not popularity, but, like, they like being around people.
Social.
Social?
They're very sociable. Yeah, they're very
Yeah.
social creatures. And so, like, to just ignore them is cruel,
That will cause the rats to grow in on themselves, and grow and
right?
spontaneously grow a warehouse inside of their rat cage.
So that's yeah. So like it's kind of interesting that you bring up the rats now, because it's like, yeah, I kind of had that was something that I thought about quite a bit as I was listening to this story.
Here's what you do. Here's what you do. Have your son read this story, right? Say, Flint, read this, and then he reads it hypothetically, and then you look at him just dead in his eyes, and you say, "The city is the rats," and then walk away and see what happens.
He may shiver down to his roots.
He might. This was a really cool story. Cool. It wasn't. It didn't scratch that itch for me, that sci-fi itch, but it is a very cool story. I would say it's more of a surreal type story than science fiction. However, it was published here on Strange Horizons, link in the show notes, but it is just under fiction, not science fiction. So I don't know, maybe that should have been a clue.
Yep. Yeah, we should have figured that one out before this.
But we did get it from a list of short sci-fi short stories, so whatever.
Did we? I might not have.
I did. I thought I'd got this
did
one.
you? Oh, okay.
Did I not?
Well, good.
I don't know.
Good on you.
Who
Good on you.
knows? Who knows what happens? We'll never know. How do magnets even work? We have no idea. So
Are you a juggalo?
Maybe I am. Maybe I am. Or maybe I amped.
I listened to a book called The Particle at the End of the Universe by Sean Carroll, which is about the Higgs boson.
Mm-hmm.
And he quotes that lyric from Insane Clown Posse, but he has the full lyric. He says, what is it? Effing magnets. How do they work? But he doesn't say effing. He says the full thing. But it's just funny to hear the narrator on like an Audible book be like, to say that like straight faced, you know?
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, gentlemen. Once again for next week, welcome to the medical clinic at the Interplanetary Relay Station by Caroline M. Joachim. I don't know how to say it. Joachim.
Yeah.
Link in the show notes. And so, yeah, we're going to call it. Ran a little late tonight, but that's okay. We don't care. Devin, do you have any final thoughts for us?
No, I don't.
You were so close. It felt like that.
It was
like
going to take forever
there.
because I read another book by Sean Keller recently called Something Deeply Hidden. Anyway, it's about his defense of the many worlds hypothesis for quantum mechanics, and it talks about how space and time are emergent properties from the evolving wave function of the universe. And it related to what we had talked about earlier, and it was about Sean Carroll, who I just mentioned, but I'm like, that would require too much explanation. So go read that book.
All right.
Excellent. Ben, any last words for us?
So what do you get when you crossbreed a cow and an octopus? A stern rebuke from your university's ethics board and an immediate cessation of funding.
Good night, everybody.
This has been the Science Faction Podcast. Tweet to the host at SciFact Podcast. Email them at sciencefactionpodcast@gmail.com and visit sciencefactionpodcast.com for more episodes.